Sorry to burst your bubble, America, but just like the oil in the Middle East, the Netflix Studio Ghibli announcement wasn't meant for you. Hey readers, how's it going? You might want to sit down. So, you know that, God, it's so hard for me to say this. I don't like disappointing people. I mean, I do like disappointing people, but only if they deserve it, and it doesn't seem like y'all deserve it. Okay, snatching off the bandage. Netflix announced something pretty spectacular earlier in the week involving everyone's favorite highbrow Japanese animation studio, Studio Ghibli. Starting February 1st, Netflix will be streaming 21 movies from the studio, including fan favorites like My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Pom Poko, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, and more. Now, I'm not saying that you took it that way, but some people here in the States saw this announcement and got pretty geeked over it, and respectively so. So geeked that across the social media accounts that posted the announcement video, they didn't even notice that it came from the Netflix accounts outside the US. And that's when people started to get disappointed. Because since the announcement of Netflix's acquisition of the streaming rights to these 21 Studio Ghibli movies, clarification has been made that they were only the international streaming rights to said movies. Meaning that starting February the 1st, Netflix will be exclusively streaming these movies in pretty much every country across the world that allows Netflix, except the United States and Canada. I know. So if you were one of the individuals who got prematurely excited when you saw that, I get it. However, at the same time, there's a bit of me that looked at everyone who did get amped about this, thinking it was meant for them, and just went, oh honey. Because it was announced back in October of 2019 that up-and-coming streaming service and Disney Plus competitor HBO Max will be the exclusive home for streaming Studio Ghibli in North America, placing every title on the platform when it launches in 2020, with the exception of Grave of the Fireflies. Which might be a blow to anyone who clinically needs a Miyazaki movie in order to actually cry. No, seriously, that movie is legitimately like the Liberty Medical of tears. Now, there's a bit of leeway that I'm willing to give for individuals on this matter, because I admit, I found myself asking the same question when the HBO Max announcement was made. And that question that I'm allowing the leeway is, out of all of the streaming platforms the Studio Ghibli collection would be on, why isn't it on Disney Plus? Because if you remember, Disney had the distribution rights to Studio Ghibli's work here in North America for the longest time. But in regards to Ghibli establishing that partnership with Disney, that wasn't always the case. As a matter of fact, there was a time back where working with Disney wasn't even a consideration for them. You see, before 1996, Studio Ghibli co-founder and Paul Revere of anime, Hayao Miyazaki, didn't really want to work with American companies because he was worried about how they would change his work in order to cater to American audiences, and specifically didn't want to work with Disney because he felt that they lacked decency. Which is true, What actually changed his mind on the matter was Studio Ghibli co-founder Yasuyoshi Tokuma asking him to consider the partnership and taking into consideration all the times Tokuma had Miyazaki's back in the day. So for the longest, pretty much about 20 or so years, Disney has been the sole international distributor of everything Studio Ghibli. That means Blu-rays, DVDs, and theatrical releases. But it was about 2 years after Miyazaki's The Wind Rises was released that Disney decided to let go of the distribution rights to Studio Ghibli. And with that, the New York-based company GKids picked up the international distribution rights for Studio Ghibli everywhere but France, which Disney held on to for some strange reason. Once again, with the exception of Grave of the Fireflies, because not only is it owned strictly by Japan apparently, but you know, there's only so many times you can cry in a day. So that pretty much explains why the Studio Ghibli collection isn't on Disney+. The only other rights they own to a Studio Ghibli work are the home release rights to The Wind Rises, because it's still younger than 10 years old as of this recording. GKids, on the other hand, can freely air it in theaters. And with the House of Mouse no longer having the Studio Ghibli collection under their belt to put it on their streaming service, Warner Brothers knocked on the door of GKids, a media distribution company that isn't owned by a major studio and can do business with whoever they want, and clearly offered them a deal for the North American streaming rights that they could not refuse. As far as how Netflix got the streaming rights for everywhere else, well, remember when I said that Disney held on to the French distribution rights? Well, those eventually fell to the German distribution company Wild Bunch, who worked with GKids in order to properly secure the deal. So if you are an American who wants to stream the Studio Ghibli library legitimately, you have to wait until HBO Max is available and make the decision whether you think getting the streaming service is worth it. And personally, from what I've seen of the lineup of exclusives and original content, I'm considering it. Or if you prefer to own the movies, because as Disney Plus has proven to us, just because it's on a streaming service doesn't mean it will always be there. You can find a link to the collective works of Hayao Miyazaki in Blu-ray in the description below. Because just stop kidding yourself. You say Studio Ghibli, but you really mean Hayao Miyazaki. I mean, it's bad and totally unfair to the other storytellers at Studio Ghibli, but I get it. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below whether or not you got prematurely hyped for the Studio Ghibli Netflix announcement. You know, if you're from America or Canada. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class whether or not HBO Max having the Studio Ghibli collection is enough for you to consider signing up for their streaming service. Whichever one you answer, I'd love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box below. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.